I'm preparing some duck legs for Confit. I did this on a lecture earlier. I'll just show you how we're gonna do these duck legs. We have to pull out the thigh bone. Just scratch right along the edge of the thigh bone, bring it all the way down to the knee. Go over the top. Go down the third side. So there's the bone nicely exposed. Pinch it, pick it up, put the knife underneath. Now the bone is literally free. We're just gonna scrape the meat away. Then we look for the joint, cut down into it. Boom, out comes the bone. We also want to look for a kneecap, which is right there. And when we find it, we'll just kind of push it away from everything. Trim it off. Try not to cut through any skin because you're right in a spot where the skin is coming through here. There's a little piece of kneecap here too. It's actually part of the joint. Okay. Last thing we'll do is take off the end of the bone right here. We need a heavy knife for that. We're going to push on the bone, push this down onto the cutting board, and we're going to whack it. So get ready, use the end of a big knife, and take it off. Hopefully it comes up nice and clean. That's how we're going to prepare all the duck legs. One more time, we'll do this one more time. We'll go down the side of the thigh, open it up, go over the top, exposing the bone, go down the third side of the bone, lift the bone up, go underneath it, and loosen the meat. Here. Go all the way to the joint. You can scrape everything back. Here's the joint right in here. Loosen it up, and out comes the bone. We got to take out the kneecap. Once that comes out, then we will trim the end of the leg here with a heavy knife. Push on that bone, keep the leg nice and steady, and smash it. If you have any shards, bone shards in there, take them out. Just feel for them. And this will draw back as it cooks, exposing the bone, Frenching itself. Here we have some mise en place for our cured duck legs. These duck legs are going to be turned into a confit. We have some salt, sugar, orange juice, brandy. We have some thyme, bay leaves, garlic. We zested this orange with a peeler and then julienned it. We have crushed peppercorns. I have some whole cloves here, which I'll also break them up a bit. Just kind of smash them down, bust them up. Okay, and then we'll make this marinade. So in the duck legs, we're gonna stuff the leg with a clove of garlic, one right where the kneecap would go. We're going to try to keep that in there through the entire cooking process. So right now it just needs to be tucked in there. Whatever remaining garlic I have, I'll just chop it up. I haven't really measured anything here. I'm just adding enough to make it feel like it's going to influence this duck. So we'll rub in a little bit of garlic. Come on, garlic. Put in some peppercorns. Remember, this is going to be washed, so whatever we put in here has to influence the flavor pretty strong, because then it's all going to be rinsed off tomorrow. This will just rest overnight in the refrigerator. You can even go 2 days on this marinating process if you feel it's better. I'm going to put in my orange zest here. We'll take the fresh thyme and bust it up a little bit so that it's a little bit more flavorful. I'm not worried about stems or anything here. It's all coming out. Got some bay leaves here. We can kind of break them up. Sprinkle them all over. Now we're going to season with salt, and we want enough salt that it would look like you're over seasoning a little bit for cooking. Remember, this is for both sides, so I'm not going to flip these. So season them generously. You could add a little curing salt in here if you wanted the duck to stay nice and bright red, but it is not necessary. Okay, give it a little Pope's blessing here. And then we're going to add about the same amount of sugar. It shouldn't be more sugar than salt, so you want more salt than sugar. Okay, we just use the sugar to kind of balance out the salt. Then we have our liquids. We have a little bit of orange juice. This will get the cure going quickly. Make things start curing right away. And then we'll add some brandy as well. A couple ounces of brandy there. Then we can just kind of shuffle everything around, make sure you get some of the cure underneath the legs. And we'll let this set until tomorrow. All done.
Smells good. Zesty.
And welcome back. We are going to rinse off our duck legs today. These are the legs we'll use for the duck confit. They've been marinating 24 hours, and we're going to rinse off this marinade. When I do that, I pretty much want to take the garlic clove that's in there and hold it in place. And then with some running water, just rinse down the leg. Then we'll take the leg, keeping the garlic clove in there. It's okay if you don't get everything off, but we just want to rinse the salt. Squeeze it dry. Fold the thigh up and over that garlic clove, and then encase it like that. And then we will lay it into a small pot. I'm going to put all 6 legs in here, and I want a pot, choose a pot that is just perfect for the size. Something not too big, there's not too much space. Even if you have to cram the legs in a little bit, that's okay. You can even work in 2 layers if you need to, but it's preferred just to stay 1 layer. And again, we fold these, keeping the garlic in there, like that, and like that. Then when I put it into the pot, I'm going to overlap the legs a little bit so that they hold each other in place. Find the garlic, hold it there, rinse it off. Okay, you get the idea. I'll be right back. Okay, and I am done washing, and as I mentioned, I might have to cram these in here, so I have a little room right in the middle, and I'm going to put the last duck leg right there, tucking everything in really tight. That's the idea. Now we're going to put some fat over the top of these. Don't be afraid to take a little bit of your aromatics here. Put some over the top. That'll help flavor up some of the oils that are in the fat that we'll be cooking this with. Okay, so take a look over here. We have some purchased duck fat I bought. This one here, I thought that was a label. It's actually on the side. I'm gonna put as much duck fat as it takes to cover these. All right, and that should do it. So rendered duck fat. This is quite expensive. I don't have a price right now for you, but if you like, I can find one. And then once we have everything in there, we're going to turn the heat on. We want a tight fitting lid. And we're going to bring these up to a very slight simmer. We don't want to overheat it. For the duck fat, you can just kind of melt it down in a bain-marie, and that'll work fine. And once this comes to a little percolation, we'll put a lid on it and put it into the oven. The idea is to try to keep all of the legs underneath the liquid here. We're not going to use anything to press on it or push it down. We can use some parchment, but the legs are going to kind of swell a little bit, and they do tend to pop up out of the liquid, and that's one reason we want to have a lid. The lid will prevent them from browning too much. The idea here is not to brown, it's just to cook very slowly in fat. You can see that this is already starting to heat up. I don't want to bring it to a rolling boil. I'm not trying to deep fry. This is going to be slow cooking. I'm just heating everything in the pan here. You can use this fat more than once. So once I have the confit finished, I'm going to cool it down and then pack it in fat. If I have extra fat, I will use it for other purposes. You can use it to cook things, make potatoes, flavor stuff, or you can use it to make another confit. Remember, this fat is going to have a little bit of an orange and herb flavor to it. The reason I'm bringing everything up to temperature is because this will speed up the process going into the oven. This is going to cook for about 3 to 4 hours until the meat wants to fall off the bones. And we don't want to take it too far. We want to keep the meat holding together, but the idea is to have it super soft so that if you put a fork into it, it's ready to come off the bone easily. It's kind of a fine line. You don't want to overcook it, and you don't definitely want to undercook it. Okay, that should be good. I'm down on a low heat, and it's still percolating like that. Little bubbles coming up, nice and easy. We're gonna put a lid on it. And then this is gonna go into the oven right there at 300 degrees. Nice and slow like we did the rillette yesterday. And I'll check this in about 2 hours, 11:30 right now, so 1:30. We'll see how we're doing, and then we'll come back. Let's take a look at this duck confit. See how we're doing it here, going nice and slow, hopefully. Careful opening your lids. There you go. You see how they kind of balloon up a little bit? You can try to reposition as much as you can. There we go. So maybe we stab them. See if that's going in. You can see how the legs are nicely French like that. So yeah, they're getting there. They're almost done. I would say in the next hour, we'll check them again. Time to put them back away. I'm gonna just gently lower this heat too. Right now it's right at 300, but it might be a little bit on the higher side, so I'll just tip it down. Another hour. We're gonna look at this duck confit. See how this is looking. Simmer nice and easy there. So we'll need a small plate and a fork. And we'll retrieve one of these nice and easy. Okay, so it opens up easily and absolutely falling apart. Nice and easy. Then we'll have to taste a little bit. Tiny salty, which is a preserve, so that's appropriate. And pretty darn good. So, let's take these out. We're gonna put them over here on the table, and we're gonna pack them for storage. So we need a little crock or something to put these in. And I will get something that will barely fit. And that should do it. So when we take these out, we got to be very gentle with them because they do want to fall apart. So go easy. When they cool down, they'll work much better. We're going to try to keep the bones down so that nothing's really sticking through the surface. You can see how nicely those are French, and they do that all by themselves. Okay, I gotta squeeze one more in here without breaking everything up. Okay. And that is the duck confit. And to store them, we're going to put the fat over the top. Yes, that was hot, but not that bad. Okay, so we try to pour the fat over the top. There may be liquid down in the bottom, so try to reserve the liquid if possible. Here comes the liquid. So I'm going to leave it at that right there. And we're going to store this in the refrigerator until it's nice and cold. And we'll go digging for these. The duck should, you know, sit in here for a week would be great. Up to a month. I'm gonna try to get the bones down underneath. I'll pour a little more fat over the top later. Duck confit, yum. Here's a shot of some of the duck confit. So this lid's a little tight because it's probably got some fat stuck underneath it. There we go. And there's the duck. You can see it's buried in fat. You could go in and dig some out. It's not the best way to do it because then the tender pieces of duck may fall apart. So what we would like to do is maybe just warm it gently in the casserole and then unpack it one piece at a time and then heat some in the oven for maybe lunch or dinner. So that's the duck confit. I will heat some up and serve a little bit. So here we have the duck confit is in a bain-marie and we'll just let it melt. Duck confit is nice and soft now. It's easy to take a piece out. And just take a leg right there and gently move it into a container that we can cook it in. This one's got a little heat on the bottom. I want some top heat, so what I'm gonna do is go into the oven here. 400. This is the confit leg. We're gonna make sure it's nice and loose in here. Make sure this comes off in one piece. Don't break it up because it's super fragile. Take the duck leg. Position it there on the plate. I can use the fat for cooking potatoes if I want. That would be really good. I'm gonna add a little stock to it and some glass. So just to deglaze the pan a little bit, I have some of this glass. Put this into that stock. Okay, and then we can put this over the top. You could add a little orange juice to this, that would be really nice. And there you have the duck leg confit.